What's up, YouTube? Thanks for coming and checking me out. I'm T with Life is Real TV. And today I want to talk to y'all about Brett Favre. Basically, something popped up on my Twitter recommendations. Twitter is a very weird place. So basically, I'm going to just show y'all what popped up and then I'm going to give y'all my thoughts. So let's jump right into it. All right, y'all. So here it is right here. This is the post that was recommended on my Twitter. You see what Claudia Jordan's been saying. I've been saying this, what we do in media. Ime Udoka. And if you guys have looked at any of my recent videos, I've actually, touched on that topic a couple of times. But Ime Udoka being suspended as Celtics head coach 2 days ago for having a consensual relationship with a staff member has already received more coverage than Brett Favre being paid $1 million out of federal welfare money for talks he never gave and embezzling another $5 million 2 years ago. So, she's talking about, I guess, how unfair it is, so to speak, and how it's not really neutral. I guess how they're talking about one story a lot about Ime Udoka and Brett Favre. It's not really being talked about too much. You kind of got to go search for it. I didn't hear anything about it. I mean, even if I wasn't looking for the Ime Udoka situation, I couldn't help but to see it unless I, stayed off of social media or wasn't watching any type of news. But I'm doing all of those things and I just kept coming across it. Every time I turned around, someone was talking about this story. But not the Brett Favre. I mean, until Claudia Jordan popped up on my news feed or whatever. Well, not news feed because, like I said, I don't follow her, but it popped up in my recommendation. I actually got an alert from Twitter talking about this story. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have known anything about it. So since Claudia's brought it to my attention, I've been looking it up and finding out more information about it. Um, Here goes another message on her page. Report: text show ex Mississippi governor helped Brett Favre use welfare funds for volleyball venue. So I mean, I guess this situation just gets deeper. Um, let's scroll up here and see if she got anything else. Yeah, I think I have seen something about this guy getting ill treatment in a jail down in Alabama, and I guess they're trying to start. They're trying to raise money for him or something along those lines. I would just tell all of my young brothers and older for that matter, just try to stay out. Just try to stay out of jail, man. I mean, as far as I know, there are places in the country where, if I'm not mistaken, once you go to jail, like you're technically, even by law, you're like considered a slave. I think that's only the case in some states. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. And I do think you're a product that is not a product, but you're more so property of the state. At that point, I guess it would depend on the type of prison you go to, but I don't really know. I've never done any hard time, so I don't really know. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, are you a property? Are you property of the state when you go to jail, or does it depend on whether you go to private prison or what type of prison you go to? Y'all can let me know. But moving on, this is about Brett Favre. This isn't more so about that. But yeah, y'all, just try to stay out of prison. Make good decisions. Have people around you that have your best interests. And yeah, when y'all out here messing with these ladies, man, make sure you got you a rider around you. Got you a rider around you. That's gonna take you at your worst. Real talk, because a lot of these dudes be in prison, because of relationships with their ladies and stuff like that. All right, so here goes something else. I guess it's just another outlet, news outlet, or another article. Seems like they're basically saying the same thing about him taking welfare money. Brett Favre's welfare scandal now also includes the former QB floating the possibility of using Mississippi prison labor to manufacture volleyball lockers. See, but that kind of goes back to what I was talking about before, where Mississippi, if there are any states that I guess you're still considered a slave if you get locked up, I would probably think that's one of them. But but yeah, I mean, when you go to prison, I do know that you lose some of your rights. I mean that's what it is. I definitely feel for the brother, but we definitely need to be having that conversation about, and making that conversation more important of, how to keep guys out of prison, for sure. I mean, some guys definitely get locked up unjustly, that kind of thing still happens, dirty police and things like that. But, for the most part, I would think most people in jail are there because, not necessarily making the best decisions with their lives. All right, so that's it. That's it from Claudia Jordan. She's posting a whole bunch of other stuff up here. A lot of it I probably don't even agree with. So I'm gonna move along to something else that I have found. All right, so here goes someone talking about the whole situation. Looks like this is by Ryan Gatos of Fox News. I assume that's who this is. But let's go ahead and take a listen to it.
Radio show on hiatus amid Mississippi welfare scandal developments. Brett Favre reportedly pressed Mississippi officials to secure funding for a volleyball and football facility at Southern Miss. The consequences of Brett Favre's alleged role in a Mississippi welfare fraud scandal has cost him a major radio show for the time being. Favre's show, The Sirius Blitz with Brett Favre and Bruce Murray, on Sirius Radio was put on hold as the Hall of Fame quarterback faces a civil lawsuit from the state as officials look to recoup more than $20 million in misspent welfare money from the retired player and others, according to multiple reports. The show usually airs on a Tuesday, and its last episode was September 13th, according to The Hollywood Reporter. New court documented show Favre sought out millions of dollars for several sports facilities, including a volleyball facility and an indoor football practice facility, at the University of Southern Mississippi. His daughter played volleyball at the school. According to a Friday court filing, Favre continued to press for the funds despite Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant saying it may be illegal. Bryant had texted Favre that use of these funds is tightly controlled, and any improper use could result in violation of federal law. Auditors are currently reviewing the use of these funds, according to a court filing. Despite Bryant laying down the law, the former Packers star was not taking no for an answer while giving the former governor a slight guilt trip. We obviously need your help big time, and time is working against us, Favre wrote. And we feel that your name is the perfect choice for this facility, and we are not taking no for an answer. You are a Southern Miss alumni, and folks need to know you are also a supporter of the university. Bryant responded, "We are going to get there. This was a great meeting, but we have to follow the law. I am too old for federal prison." Favre asked the former governor to push current Governor Tate Reeves, whom Favre had also spoken with himself. Then president of the school Rodney Bennett had also told Bryant that he told Favre not to do the things he's doing to seek funding from state agencies and the legislature. Favre is among the defendants in the state's civil lawsuit over misspent welfare funds. At least $77 million were misspent or stolen, and it's the largest case of public fraud in the state's history. 6 people were arrested in February 2020, and the person who secured the funding for Favre's project pleaded guilty. John Davis, a former director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, pleaded guilty Thursday to federal and state felony charges in a conspiracy to misspend money. Bryant and Favre are not facing criminal charges. Favre has said through attorneys in the past that he did not know the origin of the funds. Fox News' Ryan Morick and the Associated Press contributed to this report.
All right, so there you guys, you have the Fox reporter, I guess, giving his take on what happened with that whole situation. He kept saying Favre. It is kind of weird because if you look at Brett Favre's name, you would think that that's how it's pronounced. But, Brett Favre. Yeah, I mean, it's weird to me that, because you're talking about stealing money. I mean, the only reason that I could think of that this isn't getting as much attention as the head coach of the Celtics, and unless you want to say it's racism or something along those lines. But if it's not racism, but I guess a bias. I guess a bias where I guess if you're white, you're able to kind of just fly under the radar a little bit. Because in today's world, granted, Brett Favre doesn't play football anymore. Udoka is currently the head coach of the Celtics, so maybe he has more relevance in the world today, I guess, in the sports world. But Brett Favre still, he's like a Hall of Fame quarterback. as far as I know, I mean, Brett Favre, when I was growing up, he was talked about a lot, about his, football accolades. So I don't know, but this also made me think about it. It's like, wow, they keep talking about this Udoka situation and they're not really talking about Favre, but it just kind of made me think about the end of Favre's career. And I was just like, wasn't he in some other sort of scandal or something like that? And he was, he when he was playing with the Jets, apparently it was some issue with one of the young ladies that works with the New York that had worked with the New York Jets at the time. And I believe when the story kind of started gaining traction, I think that he had already moved on from the Jets and he was playing with the Minnesota Vikings, who I believe was the last team that he played for before he retired. Um, but it almost sounds to me like it's the same sort of situation where you have someone who has a lot of rank within the company, and I guess that's where the fraternization thing comes in. Where in the head coach's instance, you have a head coach, and he's messing with one of the staff of the Celtics. But then in Favre's instance, you have the quarterback, and he's having relations with one of the staff of the Jets. It really doesn't seem. Well, there are differences. What I also thought was interesting is with the Udoka situation, and I have said this, I think, on every video that I've talked about it, it was consensual. It was consensual, consensual, consensual. Maybe it wasn't politically correct what he did, but he did not commit any crimes, As far as I know, the situation with Brett Favre, and I'm not even talking about him stealing money anymore. Now I'm talking about the situation back from 2010 when he was said to have sent some explicit, unwanted photos to one of I think a couple of the ladies that were on the staff. And I think I even saw something else in the article talking about that he had went at a couple of the massage, the young ladies that do the massages or did the massages for the Jets at the time. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the article and just so that y'all don't think I'm making this stuff up. All right, y'all. So here goes the article right here. As you can see, it's dated October 9th, 2010. NFL investigating claims Brett Favre sent former Jets sideline reporter Jen Sturger naked photos. And you could just go down here and read. So yeah, evidently, but I did look it up. You see, this is dated 2010, but he played for the Jets, I believe, in 2008. So this was coming after the fact, but most likely, same thing with Udoka. Granted, it might be it might not have been 2 years ago when he was having relations with the girl on the Celtics staff, but I'm sure it's in the past. But it was consensual. I mean, what we're talking about here, it's not consensual. The complaints that you see in the article, are that that it wasn't consensual. So yeah, here it goes right here. Friday, Deadspin also reported that while he was a Jet, Favre pursued two female massage therapists who worked for the team at the time. The report also said one of the women exchanged phone numbers with Favre and that the other woman told the website that the quarterback sent nasty text messages and invited the women to his hotel room. And for me, I don't think that, well, I'm not going to say anything about Brett Favre, but considering Udoka's situation was consensual, I've already said my thoughts on the type of options that a man in his position might have, way more than the average guy. So I'm not even going to judge him. And again, I don't think it has anything to do with Nia Long. I just think that an opportunity presented itself for the head coach of the Celtics, and he just kind of jumped on that opportunity. Regardless of how you like it or don't like it, it was consensual. Consensual. That's the key word. This stuff right here wasn't consensual. And as far as I know, and on top of that, which makes it, and I was just like, man, so like all of this happened. He was able to kind of continue playing football And, I was like, wasn't all of this in the thick of the Me Too movement? So I wanted to make sure I looked that up. So I did. I did look that up. Here it goes right here. Um, when did Me Too start? Y'all can see I just Googled it right there. Well, you might not be able to see. When did Me Too start? Is what I Googled. Who is Tarana Burke? Tarana Burke is an American activist and business executive. In 2006, she founded the Me Too movement, which sought to assist survivors of sexual violence, especially women of color. Now, I could say a whole lot about the Me Too movement, and I'm not really going to go into that in this video. But what I will say is, in the thick of the Me Too movement, it was established in 2006. Apparently, the incident happened in 2008. It was brought to light in 2010. What is it about him that kind of just made him get through this situation unscathed? And now that you guys are seeing the whole thing come up with him stealing money from the welfare and that whole thing, it kind of does make you want to revisit this situation, which, according to the article, Favre didn't want to comment on back at the time. It almost makes it more believable to me. I mean, if someone is going to do stuff like, steal millions of dollars, I mean, you're already an NFL quarterback. You already make more money than most people, and you're still out here stealing money. I mean, that doesn't seem like a noble person. So when you talk about this situation that he didn't want to comment on back in 2010, I don't know. I guess they didn't have enough proof or whatever the case may be to make it more of a story than they did. Yeah, it kind of makes you think that that stuff's believable. I mean, yeah, I mean, all of this is kind of showing me that, like, yo, this might be a shady dude. So I did want to also see, because I be connecting stuff, so I wanted to know, well, the incident happened in 2008, and it wasn't reported until 2010, but so. And that's around the end when he last played football, around 2010 with the Vikings. So I was like, well, damn, well, maybe that incident did ruin him, because it almost seems like they're trying to, like, ruin the head coach of the Celtics for this consensual act. Um, and I'm just like, okay, well, did this whole non-consensual act on Brett Favre's part ruin his career? So I was interested to know. All right, so here we are, y'all. I looked that up. What ended Brett Favre's career? You guys could see it right here. Early in the second quarter, on short third down, Favre was sacked by Bears defensive end Corey Wooten, and a hard hit knocked him out the game with a concussion, and it wound up being Favre's final snap in the NFL as he missed the last two games for time for good after that. So it seems like a concussion is what ended his career, not, this other thing. Or maybe he just decided to walk away after that because maybe after all of that, maybe it was just good timing. Like, the concussion came at a time where he could justify that as the reason he's retiring. But in actuality, maybe no other teams wanted to take a chance on him after that. I mean, who knows? You never know. But right here, it says, when you Google it, I mean, I'm sure if you Google what ended Ray Rice's career, let's see. Well, we're going to move on to that. We're going to move on to that after we finish talking about Brett Favre. But you see it right there. It doesn't say anything about any scandals and nothing like that. None of that ended his career. It seems like it was voluntary, based off of the concussion that he got in that game against the Bears. And then right under here, who caught Brett Favre's last pass? This is pretty funny. Brett Favre threw more passes than anyone in the NFL history. The last ball he threw was intercepted by Giants cornerback Corey Webster. So his last pass was an interception. And that's funny to me, because I remember Brett Favre always used to throw a lot of interceptions. If I'm not mistaken, he has the most in NFL history. Let's go ahead and look that up. All right, so here we go. Who threw the most interceptions in NFL history? Brett Favre has thrown the most career interceptions by a quarterback with 336 interceptions. So it's actually fitting for his last throw to be a interception. But I mean, as far as I know, that was just his style of play. I think they called him a gunslinger. He would rack up hell a lot of yards like that, and I'm sure he has a lot of touchdowns as well. Um, I would most likely think that Brett Favre is going to go to the Hall of Fame if he's not already. I mean, I don't know how long you have to wait before you can be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, but I would think he's going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. But but this isn't about because this isn't about him as a football player. Regardless of the interceptions, I do think that he was a really good quarterback for the time that I saw him play. And this is really just more so about why, and arguably, uh, Hall of Fame quarterback is having this big scandal right now, and it's not getting as much media attention as the situation with the head coach of the Celtics. When he didn't even break any laws, he didn't steal anything. He didn't do any of that. So I just think that the energy should match. And I did mention Ray Rice earlier. I just think it's you know I had actually asked my girl, well, you know who Ray Rice is, right? And he said, of course. I mean, I think a lot of people do, and we know what we know Ray Rice for. He knocked out his wife in the elevator that time. I mean, I was a huge football fan back then, so I knew him as a football player. He was an excellent running back that had a lot of promise, in my opinion, when he was playing with that Ravens squad back then. And then that whole situation happened with his wife, and as far as I know, there was never Ray Rice was never the same. That was basically the end of his career. I think that situation ruined him, and I just remember how much media attention it got. And it's horrible what he did. It is horrible what we did, but this whole video is really just about keeping that same energy. We should not have all of this energy for black men, and then when guys of another race do it or white guys do it, like it don't have the same energy. That's my issue. So Ray Rice had the situation, it basically ruined him. And the thing about it, and I'm going to compare that to the Chad Wheeler situation. Many of you may not even be familiar with Chad Wheeler. I wasn't really familiar with Chad Wheeler, even when the whole situation happened about him beating up his girlfriend at the time. Chad Wheeler, I believe he's an offensive lineman at the time that I think played for the Seahawks, big white dude, and he was in a interracial relationship at the time with a black girl, and apparently he had almost like killed her, and I did look the article up. I think that he did end up going to jail, and in Ray Rice's case, think he I don't think he did any serious time, if any time at all, because his wife did not want to press charges. So again, just like well, it's not the same because again, like with Udoka's situation, his was consensual. The Hall of Fame quarterback is basically sending non-consensuals, and I don't think it's the same outcry. I think if anything, people should still be talking about those photos back from 2010, considering this whole situation is coming back up right now with with him taking this money from these schools. It's just like because that shows a flaw in somebody's character, and I think back then he was kind of just able to breeze on by because of his NFL career, and some would argue because the color of his skin. You know what I'm saying? And so going back to Ray Rice and Chad Wheeler, Chad Wheeler did end up going to jail, but I didn't even know about his situation because it wasn't all over ESPN and everything. I mean, every time you turn ESPN on, when Ray Rice was going through his situation, that's like all they were talking about. Kind of like every time you turn on your TV now, they're talking about the head coach of the Celtics. Why isn't the energy the same for Favre with this money he's stealing? Why wasn't the energy the same for Chad Wheeler when he was beating on that woman? Apparently he almost killed her, and I'm gonna pull something up too so that y'all can look at that. But in Ray Rice's situation, still horrible what he did to his wife. It was captured on camera, but his wife stood by him. You know, she didn't press charges against them. I mean, as far as I know, they're still together now, and I hope that they're doing well. You know, and this other guy, Chad Wheeler, you know, after he basically tried to kill the girl, I actually think they said that he actually thought she was dead. Um, but he's in jail because she did go and press charges and things like that. So both situations are bad. But if you could say one is worse, if you can weigh the two situations and say one is worse, no doubt about it. I think that the Chad Wheeler one's worse. That's most likely why he's in jail. You know, but it didn't get close to as much media attention as Ray Rice. You know, so like we need to like keep that energy the same, and well, what should be kept the same. But unfortunately, that might be like asking for too much with a lot of these mainstream news outlets. So you may have to come to places like this to get, um, you know, a little bit more balance. Like I said, that's how I found out about the Chad Wheeler situation. It was because of the people that have been doing stuff like this, creating content. So, you know, kudos to all of those folks that are out here doing it. I'm trying to get started with it myself with my lady. She's not in the video right now. I'm just kind of doing my own thing, but she'll be back. You know, but yeah, but that's about it, y'all. This video I've been rambling on for a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it. But this is why it's important that we kind of control our own media, you know, because you know you can kind of see that the imbalance in what they show and who they show. Um, you know, I mean, granted, the Udoka story, and you know, he's dating Nia Long, you know, and you know, definitely in our community, we love Nia Long. So yeah, maybe the two stories aren't as glamorous, but still, I mean, but it's relevant. It's relevant. I mean, Brett Favre most likely he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame if he hasn't already. I don't know. I kind of stopped watching the NFL. But shout out to the Eagles, though. I think I saw the other day that they're doing pretty good. They were 2-0, and I saw the game on where they were playing the Skins yesterday, and they were whooping that ass. Renee wouldn't like that because her family's Skins fans, but yeah, we were for the Eagles over here. So shout out to the Eagles. They should be 3-0 now. Maybe they on their way to another chip. Who knows? That'd be cool if that young boy they got, Jalen Hurts, can take them all the way. That'd be dope. But anyway, please y'all like, comment, subscribe. You know, but tell me your thoughts. What do you think on the Brett Favre situation? Do you guys think I'm missing something? Is it getting a lot of media attention, and I'm just tripping? Do you guys think it's getting the media attention that it deserves? You know, what's your thoughts? Are you all familiar with Chad Wheeler and that whole situation? If so, how'd you find out about it? I'm sure that most of you all know who Ray Rice is, but did you know about Chad Wheeler? So give me your thoughts, y'all. But until the next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for liking. And thank you so much for the subscriptions. Me and my girl appreciate it so much. And until the next video, peace.